Hi there. Do you ever feel like you have to toughen up just to be respected? I mean, our world, I feel like, asks for that so often. Like you have to put on armor before walking into a room because softness won't cut it. I get that. The world often rewards force more than it does authenticity, especially nowadays. But here's the real question. What if your greatest power isn't in hardening, but in showing up fully as yourself? Let's just pause there for a minute. Hi, I'm Leezá Steindorf. I'm an executive coach for the Forbes Coaches Council. I'm an international speaker and creator of the C.O.R.E success system. And around here, we use clarity, ownership, resolution, and excellence as a framework for living from the inside out. Because life is way too short to lead by defense instead of by your own inner knowing. So I've spent decades working with leaders and teams and individuals across more than 35 cultures. And one of the most common struggles I see is this. People confuse hard with strong. They think that authority means they need to armor up, right? They're confusing authoritarian with authority. Authority means you have the authority to speak your truth. So in reality, that armor often keeps people from the real strength because it becomes a shell and it keeps what they have inside. So if that resonates with you, I invite you to like the video or subscribe for more videos that support your worth, and maybe pass this on to someone who could use this message of reclaiming their power without becoming hard, because that's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to start with clarity and to understand that power is not force. Okay? So we've been conditioned to see power as dominance, some power above pushing down, or the loudest voice in the room, or the sharpest elbows, right? The person who wins at any cost. That's not power. That's control, that's dominance. It can also be considered bullying, and it's fragile. Control is fragile, right? Real power is knowing your value and what you bring to the table, and your real power is in your presence. It's the ability to stay rooted in who you are, even when the world and the circumstances around you are pulling you out of that center and creating circumstances that are so distracting, it's easy to leave who you are. And think about the people that you admire most, right? I'm guessing they're not the ones that are yelling over everybody else, and they're also not the ones that are shutting people up, right? They're the people that walk in and they listen deeply. They're present to you. And the energy in the room changes because they are there, because they are grounded. So clarity reminds us that softness is not weakness, it's wisdom. And this the example that's often given, but if you think about it, it's true. Think of water, right? How soft water can be. It carved the Grand Canyon. It literally erodes mountains, right? That's power, but it's soft. So here's some examples of clarity in action, right? If you're a parent, you can discipline with a calm consistency of knowing what it is that you want to say, knowing what you want your kids to learn, and being consistent in that. You don't have to scream. Or if you're a leader, right? You actually can say, you know what? I don't know, but let's figure it out together. Instead of faking confidence and bravado. Yeah. Or as a friend, it's really listening fully instead of trying to fill the silence with chatter or overtalk somebody who's sharing something that's important to them. It's being that gentle listener. So I'm going to offer you a mini practice. The next time you feel pressure to power up, harden up, I'm going to say, just pause. Take a breath, and you can even say to yourself something like, what would strength look like right now? Or what if I wasn't hard right now and I trusted the strength of my softness? Something like that. And see what happens. Just see what changes within you and also in your circumstances. All right, let's talk about ownership. And the way that I speak about ownership is taking 100% responsibility for your experience, for your values, your beliefs, your actions. And so here, when we're talking about our own power, it's redefining what strength looks like. So ownership means owning your definition of strength, not the one that was handed to you and not the one that you see out in the world or social media or movies or whatever. It's not pretending you have it all together. It's not shutting down emotions. And it's not imitating another person's version of confidence, right? Some of the most powerful experiences of strength is when people stand in their vulnerability and say, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to find it. Or I don't know what to do right now, but I'm right here with you and I know we're going to find a way together. That's strength. Yeah, it doesn't have to be hard. So strength is standing in your own truth, not objective truth, which doesn't exist, but in your own truth, even when it's messy, right? So here's what it could sound like if you were going to verbalize this to yourself or someone else. You could say, yeah, I am emotional right now. That doesn't make me fragile. Or absolutely, I'm still learning and that doesn't mean I'm unqualified. Or yes, I am firm and that doesn't make me cruel. And that last one is actually really applicable for women, I can tell you, because when you're firm as a woman, you're called a whole lot of things. And when men are firm, they're more respected. So there's a little bit of a different way of being treated in that situation. So when you own that you have your own power and you have your own strength and you don't have to apologize for it and you don't have to harden it, then you can stop performing and really start living from that place. I'll say this to you, when I was younger, because I grew up in violence, as I've shared, and the way that we got through our household was he who screamed loudest won. And so I became very hard, and it probably saved my bacon a lot as a kid, but that ended pretty early on. And so I became this really hardened shell, if you will. If you'd have known me then, you would probably not have liked me very much, or people that knew me then probably be amazed at who I am today, right? Um, I was really like buttoned up and unpermeable. But the more I came to understand my wounds and heal them, and the more comfortable became in my own strength and trusted myself, the softer I became. And interestingly enough, the more people respected me because they could really see me and not some shell, some persona that I was putting on, right? So my clients trust me because I don't carry an armor. I'm authentic. And in my private life also. So I'm going to offer to you, and that wasn't easy. I'm not trying to make it sound easy, and I'm certainly not perfect. But I want to say that it's possible because if anybody was hard, it was me. So here's a mini practice for you. Notice just one place. I like to start with just one because otherwise it gets too overwhelming. So just one place where you feel tempted to perform to show how powerful you are. And instead, try something different. Even if it's something like saying, I don't have it all figured out, and see how your body reacts to that. Or I don't feel comfortable right now. I'm gonna take a moment. And just see how that feels to you. And if you want to, you can also see the impact on others because people really respect that. But that's not the reason to do it. The reason to do it is for your own self, to build that trust in your own inner strength. Okay, so let's talk about now resolution. And the way that I speak about resolution is it's an alignment of our values, of our beliefs, of our thoughts, and our into our actions, how we walk in the world. So what we'd like to do in resolution here is we'd like to release any kind of shame around boundaries. So one of the biggest fears that people carry is that if I set boundaries, people will think I'm harsh or selfish or difficult. And it doesn't have to be that way. And boundaries, maybe it sounds like a wall or something hard. It's not. It's not a wall. It's an invitation to mutual respect. It's to say, So this is what works for me. It's the verbiage I often use. This works for me, and I'm going to ask you to respect that. And tell me what works for you, and then we'll find a way together, right? So resolution means, in this case, letting go of any kind of shame that says, um, if I protect my peace, I'm being too much. Or if I say no, I'm not being kind. Let that go. That's not so. And you can do it kindly, right? You can say, you know what? I'd really like to help you, but I don't have capacity. I'm not going to do that. Please find someone else. Or right now, this doesn't feel good to me. I think I'm just going to remove myself. I need some peace for myself. You're not making anybody wrong, but you're setting your own guardrails, if you will. So the truth is, you can be kind and clear, and you can be generous and grounded, and you can say no with love and still mean it fully. You don't have to be harsh and hard. So boundaries are how we create safe connections, and we don't have to scare people in that. So think about it. If you never say no, actually your yes doesn't mean very much because you just always say yes, right? But when you say no when it's true for you, that when you say yes, that's also true for you, right? And then people can learn to trust your yes and trust your no, right? So that's boundaries with grace, if you will. So this week, I'm going to offer you another mini practice. Saying no with softness. So for example, if there's something you really don't want to do or you don't want to have, say, thank you for asking, but I'm not going to commit right now. Or I appreciate the offer, but no thank you. And just notice how clear and kind and powerful that feels. Okay, let's talk about excellence, right? And I speak about excellence not as this polished, perfect. We have this idea of excellence like Olympic athletes, which are amazing, right? And they've spent lifetimes doing this, and their performances often are polished. But that also comes from a place of their highest and best. And our highest and best is not always polished, and it doesn't always look perfect, and that's fine. It's knowing that highest and best in yourself and coming from that place as often as you possibly can. Yeah. So it's not about outperforming or outshouting others. It's about embodying your wholeness. The most powerful people that I've met, they don't need to prove a thing. They have this calm about them and this confidence, and they're deliberate. They listen. They don't need to overpower. They don't need to make people small or insult. They know who they are, and they lead from that place. They live from that place. They love from that place. So this isn't a type of softness that gets walked all over. It's not mushiness. It's a softness and a gentleness that cannot be shaken. And excellence says, I don't need walls to be respected. I don't need hardness to be powerful. My presence is enough. That's the excellence that one can find in oneself. You can think about bamboo, right? For any of you who know bamboo, it's super flexible, unbelievable. It can withstand storms and winds, incredible. But it's strong. It's incredibly strong. And that kind of power endures. So here's a mini practice for you. When you know you're going to be going into a conversation where you want to feel your power, just put your hand on your chest, say, I can be clear and kind at the same time. My softness and my strength, they stand together. And you can even do that when you're talking to the person, right? Or you can do it as a preparation, whichever works for you. Okay, so let's bring that all together. So clarity reminds you that power is not force, it's presence. Ownership invites you to define your strength from the inside out. So you know your power without having to put that hard wall around you. And resolution frees you from any kind of shame about saying no or not for me or creating those boundaries. And excellence shows you how to lead with steadiness and not defensiveness, how you are consistent and resilient, and you can stay strong in your flexibility. So you don't need walls to be safe, and you don't need to be hard to be respected, and you can be fierce and tender at the same time. That's one that I have actually a magnet on my refrigerator that says that tenderness is fierce. So both strong and sensitive grounded and open. And that's not a contradiction, that's actually core. So if this conversation helped you see power in a new light, let's say, I'd love for you to stay connected. Go ahead and subscribe if you'd like more of these grounded insights, or share this video with someone who maybe also doesn't want to hide anymore or doesn't want to put on armor. So until next time, remember, your softness is sacred and your strength is steady. And your power is already there. Thank you. Be well.